Hi everyone, and thanks for joining me today. Today we're taking a look at the Emerson CQC-8. This knife was originally designed by Ernest Emerson back in 2003, I believe. It was originally designed for the British SAS. It was kind of based loosely on Bob Taylor's Warrior knife, if you're familiar with that. The first time it was put out, it was actually a collaboration with Surefire. Unfortunately, now Surefire knives are being discontinued, from what I'm told. But it was a collaboration with Surefire as well. So it is definitely what I would call a tactical folder. This knife I got back a few months ago. I've been EDCing it a lot since then. Maybe we'll just go over a few specs. So the overall length is 9.3 inches. The blade length is 3.9 inches. So it's just about a 4-inch blade, which is my preferred size for EDC. The thickness of the blade is 0.125, which is an eighth of an inch. The steel is CPM 154, and it is hardened to a 57 to 59 Rockwell. The advertised weight on this is 4.6 ounces, and that just didn't really seem right to me. So, of course, you know me by now. I like to verify. We'll just hold this up. And as you can see, we're sitting at over 6 ounces. Now, I did, in all fairness, I did put my own thumb disc on there, but it certainly wouldn't be 2 ounces. So I don't know if it's a typo on the Emerson webpage or not, but it is certainly not 4.6. It's over 6 ounces. Now the lock is it's a liner lock blade, and it is made of titanium. This knife is available with partially serrated, as well as in black, a black finish on the blade, and the standard Emerson G10 handles. Now a closer look at the blade. It's an absolutely beautiful stonewash. It's one of my favorite stonewash finishes, is the Emerson stonewash. It's a saber grind, so the primary bevel goes up about halfway, and then there's the secondary or edge bevel. Now I have sharpened this once. I wanted to sharpen it before I did my my review. This is the biggest thing for me was the Emerson grind. As you can see, there's nothing on that side. There's no bevel on that side, but there is on that side. So it's I don't know if you can see the tip there. You can really see the kind of weird geometry that it has. Now, when I bought this knife, I had the full intention of sharpening it what I at the time considered properly, which is a very traditional, double bevel secondary edge. But you know what? It came to me very, very sharp. So I used the crap out of it, and then, I didn't mind it all that much. So I just decided I was going to keep that same edge bevel and just sharpen it up nicely on the Edge Pro. Put a nice mirror polish on it, and man, is it sharp. And that's really due to only having the one edge bevel, so that your overall edge bevel is much more shallow than a standard grind. And you know what? I thought I was going to hate it, but I don't mind it at all. It does pull slightly when you're cutting through harder stuff like cardboard and whatnot, but it's not enough of a pull to really, be a deal breaker for me. The deployment method is via thumb disk. I have removed that and added my own. I'm a big 45 guy, so I have tons of brass kicking around and figured I'd take a shot at the 45 thumb disk. This knife does have the Emerson Wave feature, which is this right here. And as I'm sure most of you already know, the way that works is when you're pulling it out of your pocket, the edge of your pants hooks on that and deploys the knife. So as you're pulling it out, the knife automatically deploys. And that's kind of neat. It takes a little bit of getting used to. It's a little bit scary at first, but once you get used to it, it's not that bad at all. One thing that I have done is, or one of the things that I do when I'm carrying this knife is if I don't want to be using the wave feature, I have sometimes found that it has waved on me when I didn't want it to. So if I don't want it to wave as I'm pulling it out of my pocket, I just make sure to hold it like this so that I'm blocking the blade from deploying. I did get the an Emerson skull bead for it. Pocket clip is only tip up, and the reason for that is because it needs to be tip up for the wave feature to work. Unfortunately, it's not even, you can't even swap it over, although I have seen people that have done so. They've just tapped it themselves for left-hand carry. The blade is quite smooth. Decently centered, I mean very slightly off. It's kind of tough to tell with the tip, but it's very slightly leaning to this side, but I'm okay with that. It locks up very solidly. The lockup is crazy early. I'm not so big on these really, really early lockups that you see on knives nowadays. I just don't see it as being as strong as it could be. I know that you generally want an early lockup so that your titanium wears in properly, but I'm not such a big fan of that. I'd like to see at least the thickness of the liner I'd like the liner to be fully engaged with the tang of the blade, but I'm sure that'll wear in. It's super comfortable in hand. I've been EDCing this regularly. It's kind of become my go-to blade. I really, really like it. It just kind of grows on you. It's really difficult to explain. It's super comfortable in hand. You've got these really deep finger choils. As you can see, it almost goes into almost straight down. Your thumb or your forefinger is just buried. There's no way that's coming out of your hand. Super, super excellent grip. Forward and reverse. Now the fit and finish. A lot of people kind of bag on Emerson for, pardon me, the fit and finish. And I kind of did too at first. It's, for the price of the knife, you would think that it should come a little bit more refined, but that's really not what this knife was ever designed to be. It was designed to be very, very form before, or function before form. It's everything works perfectly. It's perfectly solid. It's a beast of a knife. It's just not You know, like the liner is slightly recessed. Like it's not perfectly flush. The back spacer is slightly recessed. It's just not as refined as it could be. But you know what? Nothing in that affects anything other than the cosmetics of the knife. It doesn't affect how the knife feels in hand. It doesn't affect the performance of the knife. And those kind of variables, I think Emerson just sees as being not necessary. So they just don't worry about it as much as, you know, other knife makers. And that's kind of part of the charm of an Emerson as well. They're just kind of rough and, you know, hard use tactical folders. This particular knife I chose because I'm a big fan of knives with belly. I love having, you know, a goodly amount of belly to do a lot of cutting tasks with. And this blade style was my favorite of the Emerson line. All in all, I'm really happy with the knife. Like I said, it's kind of become my go-to knife. It comes very, very sharp, and it sharpens up quite easily. If you're worried about that single bevel grind, I would say give it a try. You can always reprofile it later, but I'm thinking chances are you won't mind. The wave feature, I'm not huge on the wave feature. I can take it or leave it personally. I like that it has that kind of, it turns it into a thumb ramp almost. It just really feels good on the thumb. I kind of like that more than being able to wave it, but it's also kind of flashy to be able to wave it when you want to. The clip, it's a great clip. No problems whatsoever, although my preferred carry is right hand tip up. So if you prefer it any other way, then, you know, you're kind of out of luck. Obviously you wouldn't want to have it tip down because then your wave feature would be redundant. But yeah, overall I quite like the knife. It's an excellent utilitarian knife. It's very, very solid and stout. There's no blade play whatsoever. It's just an overall really well-built knife. And it's nice to have kind of an overbuilt liner lock. These days everything seems to be gravitating towards the big massive titanium frame locks. And Emerson just kind of goes to show that you don't need a big massive frame lock to have a really strong knife. All in all, I really, really like this knife. I'm going to start getting some more Emersons, I think. A big fan of how it's done. So there it is, folks. The Emerson CQC-8. Once again, thanks for joining me, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.